We got a lot on the plate, man. We could talk about, goodness gracious, the Canadian Open's in full swing. Blue Jays made a nice trade, not a blockbuster, but the August 1st deadline is next week. And a week from Friday, the Olympic Games start without several Russians. So I know you guys want to delve on that. What do you think there, Perry? I
think every one of the Team Russia should have been booted right out. I think the IOC is about as weak as you possibly can get to turn it over to the federations and let them make the decision. If they've allowed one country to systemically cheat and now say, well, we're not sure whether we should make the decision or not, because that's the IOC, one of the most corrupt sports organizations in the world.
Yeah, not as bad as FIFA, but really bad. Yeah, you're right.
That has no balls at all. No balls to make a really tough decision that should have been made.
Right. Wilbur?
Well, I just think that Putin pretty much reflects the characteristic and the moral fiber of his nation. He's stolen all their money. He's got nothing but self-aggrandizement on his agenda, and he's the guy behind the steroid thing. And the poor Russian athletes have no choice.
Right. And you know what bothers me about that is what about the non-cheaters? I mean, there's got to be a good percentage, maybe a low one, but at least a percentage of Russians who are being banned and being chastised as being victims, and they're not doping.
Well, the ones that weren't doping are the ones that didn't do very well, because if you took every advantage to cheat, then you sure as hell probably did very well. Right. And I agree. What Bill said was very pressing of Bill to say that.
Yeah. Now, where does it leave, is it going to be like in 1984, where how many Russian athletes didn't come over because, of course, Russia invaded Afghanistan in late 1979, and of course the Americans boycotted Russia or Moscow. The same thing happened in '84. Is that good for Canada?
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
1980, because in 1976 the Russians weren't there. Okay, so I mean it's again, I don't know why it is. How many years later we're still talking about the problem of Russia when it comes to sports, or a bigger matter when it comes to politics, and we go back to what happened with the whole. Yeah. Democratic convention. I mean, it's this whole Russian thing is coming back into play.
Yeah. So, sorry to correct you, Perry. The Russians were in Montreal in '76. The Africans weren't, but the Russians were.
Why weren't the Africans? I missed that one.
Well, it was because of apartheid, and because I believe it was one of the rugby teams who toured in South Africa. And the African countries up north decided, if you're going to do that, and they're invited, we're not going to show. But that was only 14 countries, not like... No, 14 countries boycotted.
And corrected John on my egregious error. How's that?
Not a problem, buddy. 14 Eastern Bloc countries boycotted in 1984 in Los Angeles. Not that many in Vancouver. But for the 313 Canadian athletes who are going over, do we go, good, more for us? Or is it tainted?
It's tainted.
Yep.
Yep, and it's overdue to be blown up. Blow it up.
Yeah.
Blow up the Olympics. They are
you know what, Bill? At a certain point in time, Bill, the Olympics are going to cease to become meaningless anyway, because they'll have something else that will come in to replace it, and probably something like the X Games or something like that. That will have more commercial appeal to a sponsor and to young people, and they're going to say, the hell with the Olympics, we don't care about the Olympics anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'd do? I'd eliminate drug testing. I'd let them get loaded up as much as they want.
Like that Saturday Night Live sketch with Phil Hartman. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what are you going to do? Take as much as you want till you hurt yourself to the point you don't even know what day it is.
Right. And, I mean, who's watching what? The opening ceremonies, la-di-da. The 100 meters we'll watch. If we get to a final in, some, boutique sport, maybe we're okay. But really, the 100 meters, does anyone watch Olympic soccer? When the Dream Team was in, that was just a freak of nature. You know what I mean? Or the Olympic ice hockey final, for goodness sakes. But what are we watching?
Well, you know what they're going to be watching? Do you know what they're going to be watching? John, is every kind of amateur sport that is now a professional sport that has just been brought into the Olympics to create viewership. Basketball, we're going to talk about now tennis, and now we're going to talk about golf.
Right. In
the wintertime, it's hockey. The whole Olympics has gone away from being an amateur idealism to a professional thing because that's how you sell it. You sell it to the sponsors, you sell it to the network, and that's the only way the IOC can survive right now. It's changed the whole face of what the Olympics were supposed to be a million years ago.
Right.